This is a demo of how my NFC door project, with key elements being demonstrated today being the Arduino, the Java functionality, the logic involving users, the tiered architecture communications. So my system models the Molscombe campus, building and the room layout. In my system there are two types of staff, senior staff and junior staff. Senior staff always have an office allocated to them. Junior staff may have an office. There are also students, day staff and night staff. The rooms are classified into two sections, either classrooms or offices. Classrooms can be accessed by students and staff members alike, and they're not based on time. However, some rooms have a time constraint, and other rooms, like an office, can only be opened by one person. So I've got some code here that I've wrote which demonstrates this. The first thing it asks for is for you to enter a door ID, and it actually checks if the door ID is valid in the database. So we set the door ID to simulate being 1, and it lets us into the system. I've got 5 NFC cards here, emulating the 5 different types of users. So I'm going to go ahead and tap every one of them onto the reader. Starting off with my Unicard. It also returns a few times. I've not figured out how to slow this down. So anyway, it welcomes me. It pulls that from the database and models it into an object. It also prints out some information about my sort and hash, but these do not need to be in the final system, they're just there for demonstration. There's also a quick check on the SHA-256 encryption working. I'm using door ID 1 as a senior staff member. Brilliant. So we have a junior staff member here, again with the same limitations as the first. A normal student, and then the last two cards are the day and the night staff, which have a different role within the system. Day staff includes other staff members on the university that cannot be categorized to having an office. These can include cleaners, shop workers, and other facility staff members. The night staff can include the librarians, the security, and other people that come in off night. So I'm going to tap the day staff. So welcome, using door ID 1 as day staff. The time constraint is invalid, check in door section. So now I'm going to go ahead and tap the night staff. Using door ID as night staff, time constraint is valid, login door attempt. So those are all the different types of users that my system has. I'm going to go ahead now and discuss a few bits of important code that makes this system work. This try-catch here involves this two-way serial monitor, which polls for serial data on the USB. I wrote some logic here that reads the data while there's something there. While it has the data and while it's at a suitable length for it to be queried against the database, otherwise you get a lot of half attempts with it half reading. So we negate the fact that we have to query the database a lot of times. We make sure it's one length and then we send it. And the writer, which will write back to the Arduino to turn the light on once a successful door and user have been using it. So I've got some logic here, which you saw, which is using the strategy pattern to determine what user ID. So I'm going to go ahead and bring over my VPS onto the screen now. This VPS holds my database on it with some key tables that I've highlighted in my requirements section. This query I wrote here shows all of the usages of all of the doors. I've gone ahead and added some sample data for each category apart from day and night stuff. I also have a details table which Java runs a stored procedure to generate results into. The last three main requirements left I have is to implement the stored procedure to add the record to the database. I also need to work on some front end stuff so you can see who's using the system at what time and some other timely information. And lastly, to actually write to the Arduino to turn on the LED. Those are the last requirements I have left. And that was a demonstration of the system. I don't think there's anything else to talk about. No. Well, thank you for listening.